You've landed at Spark Launch, the guide star for embracing what it means to be neurodiverse. I'm Mike Cornell, joined by CEO of Spark Launch, Chaya. Here, we navigate mental health triumphs and tribulations from all across the spectrum, charting a course to the shared experiences that unite us, and discovering how to embody the unique strengths within neurodivergent and neurotypical alike, igniting your spark and launching it into a better tomorrow. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike.
I'm Chaya.
And welcome to today's episode of Spark Launch. Just Chaya and I today. So I went on vacation and I had I had a really good time. I had a fun experience. I went to Dollywood, went to Tennessee. I was struck with the fact my vacation was a little bit different than I think the way an allistic might go on vacation. A way where a lot of people would kind of look at what I did a little sideways and go, but did you really do anything? And I like to think my vacation was very neurodivergent. I went with friends who are neurodivergents and we kind of just followed what we are. So let me walk you through a little bit of what I mean by that. For instance, we went to Dollywood the day after we arrived. So you go to Dollywood, you expect you're going to go into all these places and, buy things, go on rides, all this stuff. We didn't do any of that. We just walked around and talked and took pictures of things and took pictures of ourselves in front of things and joked about stuff. And I think we went into an arcade once and we got ice cream. That was great. That was fantastic. And we didn't go on a single ride. We were going to go on a dark ride or something. I'm not a roller coaster person. Ended up doing none of that. We just kind of kept looking at lines and going or just teetering around. We just never felt the need to stop. We were just talking and looking at stuff. And after that, we went back to the Airbnb. We just then watched some movies and went to bed. And the next day we got up, we watched some more movies as we did. Things we would do if we were just at my house, but we were in an Airbnb, we're at a cabin. And we decided okay, what do we want to do today? We were looking at some museums and we were looking at prices of them. And we're do we really care that much to go to some tourist trappy museums and pay that much? Maybe we'll see how we feel. Let's go out. There was a comic book store. Let's go to a comic book store. So we went to a comic book store. And then we just kind of drove for a little while and looked at things out the car window. We stopped to get something to eat and then got back let's go and maybe see about this one, there was a crime museum, real tourist trappy spot that was shaped like Alcatraz and stuff. Okay, let's go there. We discovered the parking there was difficult. And being, once again, this is a very neurodivergent vacation. We went, that's too difficult. Let's just not do that. So we drove some more and just pointed at stuff and had conversations about things that we saw and kind of just looked at maps and made comments. And eventually we settled on going to a couple of souvenir shops that we didn't really buy anything in. We just wanted to see what they were like because they had animal mouths on the outside or they had interesting names like goats on the roof. Once again, didn't buy anything there, just kind of looked. We were really into looking at going to a Target that was really, really big because it was the size of a mall. We were we have to see this mall-sized Target. And it struck me that anybody else going on vacation would be you spent all that money. You went all that way. It's 8 hours away. And you just did that? Yeah, I'm really, really happy that I just did that. We spent most of our time at the Airbnb watching stupid movies we could have watched anywhere, doing the same thing we could have done anywhere. We didn't do anything that would be fundamentally seen as cool stuff, going to a lot of those touristy spots, or they had zip lines and there was this parrot rescue and all this stuff. One of my favorite parts of the trip was the GPS took us down a really winding road and it was really unnerving and kind of scary, but we were all kind of united in how ridiculous the situation was. So it just became a running joke for the rest of the trip. We never got out of the car for that. And we kept we drove into Gatlinburg and it was so packed full of people. We decided not to get out and do anything, which once again, I was struck with. This is very neurodivergent. This is we're still seeing it. We are literally sightseeing. We are seeing the sights and doing nothing else. And part of me, there was this little voice in me that was kind of going but isn't that kind of a waste? Can't you go out and go into some of these stores and like look around and like experience some of it. But no, I was very content with what we were doing. I was happy living in that moment with my friends, and we were all happy living in that moment doing those exact things. Like, I think we all had that call that we were going to go out of our way to do things because that's what you're supposed to do in situations like that. You're supposed to do these sorts of activities in a very specific sort of way. And we all had that call to it. And we were all kind of even saying it a little bit out loud. But when it came down to it, that's not where our hearts were. Like, our hearts weren't in the vacation being that. It was in taking our time and going at our own pace and doing what we wanted to do. And that was kind of like we went somewhere else to be homebodies. And I think years ago, I would have seen like how much, maybe how much I spent on like tickets to Dollywood or blah, 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 and going like, oh, but I didn't do enough to like justify all that. But now I feel like, no, I did do enough to justify that. That for me, that was what I wanted. I got exactly what I wanted out of that trip. And it wasn't what was quote unquote normal. A lot of other people would probably look at that. Once again, I think allistic, neurotypical would look at that and go, what do you mean you just saw too many people there? You went all the way to Tennessee and you saw too many people walking around outside and didn't want to go up to any of those stores and do anything? Like, yeah, we talked about doing an arcade, but eventually we were just like, we've been in the car long enough. We just wanted to go back to the cabin. Could have taken it or left it kind of deal. And I don't feel like that's a waste. I don't feel like, no, that was me living in who I am as a neurodivergent, doing what is comfortable for me, but also what I actually find fun. Because I didn't feel like I was losing out by avoiding those crowds or not doing any of the quote unquote regular, touristy stuff. I didn't miss out doing that. I was comfortable and I felt more alive there than I have in a while.
So you gave permission to yourself,
yes,
to follow your heart and enjoy the moment and not follow a structured vacation, which is not about following what's inside us, right? It's about following an itinerary, not getting that word, but following an itinerary, right? And not honoring how you feel at that moment, but still going after that checklist. And so kudos to you to have actually followed your heart and not listen to other things that your mind might have said. And this is where the clutter of the mind takes over. And yes. So you actually bypassed all of that and went straight to your heart and did what you enjoyed. And not just you, all of you did that. And you had a great time. And so that's a lot, right? It's not just you, but it also meant that you connected, you honored somebody else's feelings, and that other person also honored your feelings, and you all somehow magically things happen for you. So that's amazing. And as I was listening to your story, I felt I was in a movie, in a Hollywood movie, because that's what movies are. It was funny. It was, you book this ticket to go off to this place for adventure, and you don't do any of those adventures that you thought you would, and other mundane things happened, but they were enjoyable. It reminded me of a Seinfeld show, which is show about
very much. It's very, very much. And trust me, my friends will take that as a compliment. Even like on the way down during the road trip, which I was probably most excited for the road trip there, and that was great. We were originally going to stop constantly, but we ended up only ever stopping in one place. We came across like this antique mall. Of course, whenever you're on the road, there's about 1 billion antique malls to pull in tourists and people on road trips. We lost about 3.5 hours there. And this was like pure ADHD. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, look at that. I spent a lot of money buying crap and also took pictures of a lot of things, but also just enjoyed looking at stuff like, oh my God, look at, I bought. So in the 90s, and when I was a kid, I had the McDonald's put out these collector glasses for Batman movie, and I had a bunch of them, and then they kind of disappeared. I've looked at them on eBay and stuff, and they're usually like a lot. never quite like pulling the trigger on actually buying them, but I kind of want like that part of my childhood to like come back or something. And I found all of them there for like $5 a pop. So I naturally bought all of them. And it was like I went all the way to Tennessee and I came back with like a bunch of like McDonald's giveaway glasses from 1995. Like it's just the utter insanity of that like amuses me. But like looking at old comics and like old vinyls or just weird off the wall stuff you would find there. And that's what all we kept doing. We kept just going like, look over here, and just like pulling ourselves into different corners and showing each other things we'd come across and old toys and just like strange tchotchkes and just things that like ended up in this strange antique mall in the middle of nowhere. Like that is one of my favorite memories. And we weren't on a schedule, you know. We lost so much time there. Like I said, 3.5 hours walking around one antique mall. It didn't feel like 3.5 hours. It didn't feel like it was that long. And even when we went to Dollywood that morning, we got up, we watched a movie, we piddled around a little bit. We didn't get to Dollywood until like noon, like 1 o'clock. I don't even know. And I kept thinking like, man, if I was on a vacation that I'm used to, this would have been 100% on a schedule. We wouldn't have had time to adjust, would have been up first thing in the morning, get dressed in the car, get there, get in line, try to hit everything. And then you'd be like done with Dollywood by like 2 o'clock or something like that. Here, we're not getting there till then. We're taking our time, stopping wherever we want to stop, whatever else we need to do. And it's that little bit of freedom where it's like we have the plans of what we want to do, which is great. We have that to fall back on. Like we're not going in blind, but we're allowing ourselves to fall back into nothing. We're allowing ourselves to like throw away the itinerary whenever we want or get around to it whenever we want instead of sticking to it as some sort of schedule, which I think is very important for a neurodivergent mind, because I know I never would be able to enjoy something if I had to get up first thing in the morning and immediately start getting ready and feel like I'm on a schedule to get to a theme park to have fun, where it feels like fun is work at that point. Here, I have time to adjust to myself. I always need time actually before doing any kind of work to like take some time to just sort of feel out. Otherwise, my brain honestly just does not work very well. And actually being able to do that on vacation was a cool experience. Something I hadn't able to really do before, because usually I'm on vacations kind of in fight or flight mode because everything kind of feels like it's go, go, go. And my schedule and my routine are upended. And I didn't feel that. It felt like my routine morphed into this instead of it being disrupted. And for that, I didn't have any like stimuli problems. I didn't have the amount of permission that I gave myself is unlike anything I think I've personally experienced. And it's one of the best memories I've ever had is that. And I can't wait to do something like it again. And it really did feel like it was the first neurodivergent vacation I've ever been on. And I think that's what I want people listening, neurodivergent, who struggle with that feeling of trying to do things that are quote unquote normal, or, doing the normal vacation stuff. It is whatever you want it to be. I did not do I probably had a completely different experience at Dollywood than literally anybody else who were going on rides or running around doing all kinds of stuff. I literally walked around and took funny photos of things. That is what my autistic brain wanted to do. And that's what I did. And that's a vacation.
So the freedom, right? Freedom is something that you gave yourself. And this is, you brought about such a good contrast about the box and freedom. You didn't put yourself in the box consciously, the box of a typical vacation. And you gave permission for yourself to be yourself, to honor your feelings and go with what you enjoyed. And this is what I've been trying to say, because nobody who created that box of vacation, right? And why do we even believe that this is what a vacation needs to be? This is how it needs to look. This is what we need to do to actually enjoy and make use of our money. It should be our money's worth to do X, Y, and Z. And this is an unsaid unspoken rule that we all follow, right? So who is going to judge you now for not following those rules? There could be neurotypical people in your life who are going to point out and say that. But this is where our challenge is to actually honor ourselves and to be able to voice our truth and say, this is what I do and what I enjoy versus following what the neurotypical people would have done with their time and money for vacation, right? So we don't, it's not about anybody. Nobody is going to police you or charge you or punish you for not doing those things, right? So it's about just giving ourselves permission to be okay with it and not punishing ourselves and saying, oh my God, I followed my heart and I did what I enjoyed and I didn't follow all those things because I don't care. I don't care for other people's opinion about what I did on my vacation. So you, without knowingly, have let go of expectations from other people. And I mean, that's my journey too. We always are seeking for that approval, whether knowingly or unknowingly. And because we are a minority, the neurodivergent people, I think it's way more challenging for us to be ourselves. And yeah, so you said no to the rules and did what you enjoyed, and that's all matters in the end.
Yeah. And not caring what other people may think about my version of fun. I think that's the big thing is when you're a neurodivergent, fun is whatever you want it to be. You know, whatever you find to be fun is okay. I think I just realized how self-conscious I was about a lot of that stuff and how what I find enjoyable would be weird to other people. Maybe not so much my friends who probably do the same exact thing. Like, yeah, I kind of just want to walk around a store and look at stuff. That is actually like a really fun day to me for some reason. I don't need to buy anything. I just want to look at different things. And that is probably like totally like an ADHD brain, just like, ooh, stimuli, ooh, stimuli, ooh, stimuli. And that's, I'm done. That's why I like browsing Amazon, but never actually buying anything. I just like reading product descriptions of things. While other people, have to, whenever they go to a carnival, they have to like go on a roller coaster or go on a ride. And me, I just kind of like, I like going to like the show things where you look at stuff and I'll play like a couple of games and that's about it. I don't really, but I still feel like I get the same level of excitement out of it as everybody else there. And there's no shame in that. Where I feel like before I would have felt some form of shame, like I wasn't living life to its fullest or something. I was living neurodivergent life to its fullest. And I hope anybody's takeaway from this is that you can make life what you want it to be in those moments. You don't have to try to like bend to anything. You don't have to bend to the perceived notion of fun with a gun to your head. Let's go have fun. Something like that where you're put into an uncomfortable position, even if there's like lots of people, or you don't get stimulated in the same way, or you are able to get stimulated more easily in a different way. And what may seem like nothing to an allistic person is everything to a neurodivergent. And this line of like, live in that. Have fun however you want to have fun.
I just want to add one thing. I think this is the mom in me that's speaking. My son is 20, always telling him stuff about, we have amazing conversations. And I hope he comes as a guest on the show one day. But the mom in me is saying, yeah, have fun as long as you don't harm yourself or others. Don't do anything that will destroy you or others. That's all.
Yes.
That's the mom in me speaking.
Nothing harmful.
Nothing harmful.
Only harmless fun, please.
Harmless, exactly.
No vandalizations. I will not stand for vandalizations.
Exactly. Other than that, if the idea of fun is just to do whatever you love to do, to be yourself, enjoy, just stare out the window from your room, your hotel room, whatever it is, right? It's okay. It's completely okay. And I think we should do that, not just vacation, for everything. And actually align with people who get you. So yes. Go on vacation with the right kind of people. And yeah, because especially with neurodivergent folks, our environments affect us. And so it's really important to go with the right people. It can be neurotypical people, but someone who honors your space and there's mutual respect. I speak that because my husband is, I think, very neurotypical, but we honor each other on vacation, our interests, and we have a lot of shared interests. So we do a lot of that, and then also try to honor. Of course, there's always that negotiation. Me going to an art gallery, my husband absolutely hates that, and so it is torture. So I respect that now. I don't drag him to the galleries when I want to go visit, although like I can feel his presence outside the gallery, and that's always bothering me. But that's the guilt. But that's okay. But I now know not to drag him. The old me probably did, and this is where I think we should all learn to respect and honor ourselves and each other. And yeah, I think that's when we'll all be happy.
Yeah. Just vibe whatever frequency you vibe at. You don't need to vibe at everybody else's frequency, and everyone doesn't need to vibe at everybody else's frequency in turn. Everybody just can do their own thing. And a vacation for me is going to have coffee in a different place than where I would normally have coffee. It's just as simple as that sometimes, and that's okay. I don't need to go off and do the Norman Rockwell style vacation where it's mandatory fun, which isn't actually fun. But yeah, anyway, so those are my thoughts for today, and that's what I was kind of struck by while I was gone. But there's a takeaway in there for everyone listening for what Chaya and I just shared. So of course, you can always find the podcast at sparklaunchpodcast.com. We're on all your favorite podcast catchers. There's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, etc., etc. I am on Instagram at follows his ghost, and Chaya is on Instagram at _sparklaunch. And of course, you can find Spark Launch itself at sparklaunch.org. For this episode, I've been Mike.
I'm Chaya, and this was a blast talking about nothing, but it was everything. Yeah.
I like that. Nothing but everything. I kind of want that to be our new tagline. But we will see you next time.